Because it's so hard to believe that you thought you knew someone for so long and they turned out to be someone who is like the scum of the earth. And she's like, we need to tell somebody, we need to tell somebody, you know, like, we need to tell your mom, like you're the only person that I've told. I had to get verified like multiple times, like from the beginning, decided to stop filling the void and like actually starting to sit with myself.
Hello, welcome to the 6th episode of Let's Talk BS. You guys are not gonna guess who is here with me today. It is the one and only, my best friend, my business partner, also randomly my client, Diana Grace Keable from DK Accessories and Virtual Prosperity Solutions. Woo.
What an intro.
Woo. Say hello to the people.
Hi everyone. Gonna say I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a bit nervous, but that's just because this is like requiring a whole new level of like me.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, and I've just never been this before, so I'm excited to do this with you.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do it with anyone else.
Oh.
But like, yeah, I am a bit nervous. I'm not gonna lie. So the vodka might help. So. Just like gulps it.
You don't even have to drink the vodka, but you're like, yes.
I'll do it. I'll take it.
Okay, well, we're gonna get into today's episode. Basically, we're gonna just talk everything Diana today, which we'll get into in a moment. But I think just to break the ice a little bit, we're gonna play a little guess game, which I started last episode. So the icebreaker game is basically I ask Diana 10 questions in 30 seconds. And the challenge is just if she can't answer it in 30 seconds, she has to drink a little shot of vodka.
Do you want to see what the size of the shot is? Look, compared to the hand.
So you're just gonna have to.
Okay. Imagine projectile.
Please don't.
Oh god.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wait, Aiden, we need your timer for this.
No, Aiden, don't time. Just time in your head.
What?
Time in your
We
head.
need a 30-second timer.
We need a Mississippi timer.
We are ready to go, 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Well, you let me
Okay.
know to start.
45 seconds.
Ready and go. How old are you?
26.
How many business do you have?
2.
Fave food?
Pasta.
Knew it. Where were you born?
The Philippines.
Fave alcoholic drink?
Vodka.
Liar! Cat or dog?
Cat.
Who's your best friend?
You.
Travel destination? Favorite travel destination?
Oh, freaking. Okay, I'd say Thailand. I'll just go Thailand.
Siblings? How many?
2.
Who is the president of the United States?
Biden. Did I get it?
You just did.
Oh,
Yay!
You said Biden with 2 seconds left.
Okay, well, I have something to tell you. This is actually water.
I was like,
I just wanted to scare you a little bit. I didn't have time to get vodka or tequila today, but I'm glad you got it right.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise, I would have actually let you shot water without telling you.
I would have.
You would have.
No, it would have been a shock to
You
the
would have been
system.
like, wait, what?
This is sus.
Okay. All right, guys. So thank you for participating in that little alcoholic game. Thank you for talking BS with me. Just to preface today's episode, we're going to be talking a lot about some very sensitive topics involving sexual abuse. So if you don't want to listen to any of that, we're going to provide timestamps in this podcast in the description so you can skip past those and continue to listen to Diana's story outside of that.
Cool.
Shall we?
We shall. Let's do it.
Okay, well, let's start off by talking about, you know, your upbringing a little bit. I obviously know quite a bit about you because you're a close friend of mine, but you don't share very much about your
No.
where you come from and your
Yeah.
childhood and where, yeah, like your heritage basically. So do you want to just like give the audience a little?
Yeah. So, I was born in the Philippines and I was raised there for about 3 to 4 years, and then I moved to Australia with my mum, who married into an Aussie family. And then I she had 2 children after that, so they're my half siblings. So I've got 2 half siblings. I also have 2 step siblings, and yeah.
So your answer was wrong in the...
Yeah, but yeah, I guess so.
She has to take the shot.
Dead. It's kind of weird because it's still like a concept that I'm trying to.
Yeah, you're like,
still.
hold on, how many siblings do I actually have?
Like I always say, like when people ask me, I'm like, I have 2 siblings.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, wait, I have step siblings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't remember a lot about growing up in the Philippines. I just know
Wait,
that.
how
like,
old were you when you...
I was
left?
4 when I moved here.
Oh, so
yeah,
young.
I was really young. But like my mom like talks a lot about being a young mother and how she had to like pass me around a lot, so that family members could take care of me while she worked. And then there was a point where she like had put me up for adoption. Oh yeah, I went to like an orphanage, for a short while. I don't remember it. When I was still in the Philippines.
Really?
Yeah, and then I remember, so my mom had met my old stepdad, my Aussie stepdad, and she had told him about me, and then they went to the orphanage to get me back.
Oh.
Yeah, so, but I don't remember it. Like if you asked
yeah.
me, like I wouldn't be able to tell you, but that's just what I know from like that time.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the only thing I can really remember is like from being in Australia onwards.
Okay.
Really. Yeah.
So maybe then talk to me about what that was like coming to Australia and like your first memories of that.
I think it was a bit of a challenge because like it was just me and my mum, and like at that time I had only learned how to speak Bisaya or Tagalog. So like English wasn't part of my vocabulary, and I found it really hard to like get on with, I guess, my Australian family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew I struggled in school a little bit. I had to like stay because I was gonna do schooling a year ahead of like my age group.
Yeah.
But then I had to stay back because I didn't know English well enough.
Right.
So, but yeah, like I know it was a bit of a rough transition, and it was a bit lonely for me. So I can't even imagine how lonely it was for like my mum.
Yeah. Wow.
But like I had like my little sister as well, which,
Yeah.
you know.
How many years apart?
3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's 3 years younger than me. So like we grew up really close together. And then like my brother was born 6 years after her. So because of the age gap, like I guess as we were growing up, he would like start school, and then my sister finished school, and I had already finished school. Like, so we weren't as close with him, but like obviously still so much love and
Yeah,
with
of
him.
course.
Yeah.
Well, I know from like our friendship that you and I were very different.
Yeah.
Well, we were in high school.
Very different.
If I would have met you in high school, I would have envisioned you as like one of the bad girls, like troublemakers. And I was like the goody two shoes in school.
Yeah.
So we would have definitely clashed.
Yeah.
What was the experience like in high school for you? And like, cause I want you to also then share that experience where you had to get sent home to the Philippines by your mother. But why?
So, and I think this will like tie into a little bit of my answer later, but I was like, I was like in primary school, I was fine. Like I loved school. And then something happened between like the year that I was turning 13, which we'll dive into a little bit later, but it caused me to like lash out and to react. And because my mum, who was then like, my parents got divorced, all this other stuff happened, and she was a single mother of 3, and she was still, you know, working full time. She just wasn't emotionally available for me whilst I was going through that thing. And so for me, the only other way to like help myself as somebody who was trying to figure out like who they were, like where they belonged, and, you know, also going through puberty at the time, because obviously I'm 13.
So young.
Yeah. So the only place that I could lash out was at school. And so I was getting suspended, I was getting detentions, but that never stopped me.
Yeah.
Like at my school, like there was like Saturday detentions, which I remember this specific one time, I tried to like escape detention out the window, and like the teacher was like on the other side of the window like, get back inside. And so they made me walk
Didn't
around.
you like jump out the window, but then the teacher was standing right there?
Yeah, they were like this. What are you doing? Get back inside. But mind you, I had like the whole detention conspire with me because I was like, everyone stand up. Everyone stand up. And I was like crawling behind them to go to the window. I was like, pass my bag, jump out the window. And then the teacher's like,
The teacher's still watching you.
Yeah.
Like,
what does she think she's doing?
man,
yeah.
I wish I could have been a fly in the wall to watch this experience.
Honestly, it was a bit chaotic.
So then your mum sent you to the Philippines?
No, that was like well after. So I ended up getting expelled from that school. And then we moved, to Pakenham. And like, to be honest, like some of the kids at Pakenham, I look like an angel, right?
Fair enough.
So, but I went there and then like, this is when Instagram and everything was blowing up and I had like a best friend there and we were like blowing up on socials together.
Tumblr?
Yeah, well,
Tumblr
no, don't bring it up. No, it was,
Everyone go find Diana on Tumblr.
no, I didn't have the Tumblr, it was my friend, my friend then, but, and like obviously teenage drama is like so dramatic and over little things like, but you know, you're emotionally
Back
immature.
then, it consumed you.
Exactly, like all you cared about was school and your social status and your friends. So we had a falling out and it got taken online and it just blew up into this massive thing. And I was like, I don't want to go to school anymore. Like I want to move schools, I want to drop out, I want to do this, that and the other. My mom was like, okay, you know what? Like we're going to send you to the Philippines.
Ugh.
So yeah, and that's when I had also gotten like compensated from court for the whole thing. And they had paid for me to go to the Philippines.
Oh, shoot.
Because like I was literally like so troubled and I was so angry and I was so like, there was nothing that could save me because like my mum didn't matter what she did, she could not keep me from like getting in trouble.
Right.
So she was literally like, that's it, like you're gonna go to the Philippines.
Okay.
And then the moment I went there and I met all my cousins and, cause I hadn't seen them. Yeah, like I didn't
You were like
even know
3
them.
or 4, right?
Yeah.
Did you keep in contact throughout the years you were in Australia?
No.
So
It was
you
like-
met them for the first time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of them were younger than me. So like, I literally was meeting them for the first time.
Okay.
But yeah, when I went over there, like, you know, people were crying because like, you know, they couldn't eat food or like they couldn't finish their high school diploma because they couldn't afford tuition or they like literally, there were so many problems that like I had been exposed to that I was just so not aware of because we are so privileged in Australia that we find it so easy to just complain about things.
Of course, yeah.
And like when you go over there, you figure out what the real problems are in the world when you see people who are like, you know, who have infants on the street and like they are literal skeletons begging for money because they don't have any food, they don't have shelter, they don't have anyone they can lean on.
Yeah.
Like those are the problems of the world. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, what was that experience like in the Philippines and like how long did you live there?
So I was supposed to be there for a year. I begged my mum to come back after 3 months.
Yeah. Why?
Because it was so
Bad.
well, yeah, and I also wanted to go to school there. If I was gonna live there for a
Right.
year, I wanted to do school there. But then like this, like my school had said that I would repeat the year level, like because Philippine
their
education standards are not up to par with Victoria. So yeah, then I was kind of like, well, if I don't want to do nothing while I'm here, so let me just come back home.
And she'll let you.
Yeah, which she let me, but it really did change me over there because I just saw like how little my family was earning. The kind of like places that they lived in was literally not even the size of this whole room. It was like maybe like 2/3 of it, and it was like the kitchen, the lounge room, the bedroom, and there's 7 of them, and they're all sleeping on a floor in like a single file on like this bamboo like mat thing that they had to roll out.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, how do you live like this?
Yeah.
Mind you, this was in a house, like this is down like an alleyway that just smelled like like you could hear the chickens and
You can hear, and in the Philippines, you can hear and smell everything.
hear and smell that there is chickens in streets for days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of a reality check for me, which is what I needed. It really was.
Yeah. So that was when, how old were you?
I was 15, 16. Yeah, 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that obviously led up
Yeah.
because of everything that's happened in your younger life, right?
And also my mum tried to like send me to a mental asylum, which I was there for like 3 weeks. I was 14, by the way. Like I had just turned 14.
You never told me that.
Yeah. Oh, girl, when I say I was really troubled, like I was really, really troubled.
What did she send you to a mental asylum for?
Because I like tried to overdose. Yeah. So like, and this wasn't the first time. Like this was like, I had tried multiple times, and yeah, she like couldn't save me, so she's like, I have to like lock you up in this place to save you. But that didn't even like save me. So she sent me to the Philippines.
Yeah,
It was like her last straw. Like she had tried everything.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to take it back to the time where like, I guess, how your troubled years all started. And I know a little bit about this, and I just want to open up my platform to you to be able to speak on this topic because it's very important, and it's essentially the root of
Everything.
you and how you have grown up, but then it's also the root of your purpose and the root of all your businesses, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it started when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And I specifically remember it was like I was at my then grandparents' house, and we were playing outside, and it was me and my sister, and then I got pulled to the side around the corner of the house, and like by my grandfather at the time. He's no longer around as well, but he like had, you know, taken me around the corner and like given me a kiss, and he was like, you cannot tell anybody, we'll get into so much trouble, and like you'll never be able to see me again if you say something to somebody. And like for me as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, I'm like, what? Like I don't want to get into trouble. Like why would I want to get in trouble? So I didn't say anything, and like I didn't know the difference. Obviously, like
so back then you didn't recognize that anything was wrong.
I did not recognize anything was wrong. And like, how could I? Because like I'm in a new place, I'm in a new country, new culture, new family.
So this is literally like a year into moving into Australia, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I would say like anywhere between 1 to 2 years. And like that progressively got worse and worse, and happened for like 6 to 7 years.
Wow.
But the thing with that though is I did not realize it was anything wrong, even up until the point where like it stopped. The only time that I realized it was wrong was when I made a passing comment to one of my friends, and she genuinely looked concerned.
But you were already like 12 or 13, right?
I was, yeah. So it started when I was like 5 or 6, and then it kept going, and then when it stopped, my parents were going through the divorce, and I had let it out to one of my friends, and I think I was like 13. I was definitely in year 7, but like I don't know where, like the timeline. And like we were at my house, because back then all my friends came to my house, and I had a trampoline, and we would tan and we would have fun and whatever. And I was in a bikini and shorts, like mini shorts, like denim shorts. And my grandfather came to the house to drop my little brother off. And I had opened the door in the bikini, and like as soon as I opened the door, I let them in, and I like ran to my room, changed, and I came out. And then like he was around for like a couple minutes and said bye. And then my friend was like, why did you get changed? And I was like, haha, my grandpa's a pedophile. And then she's like, what? And I burst out crying, like burst out crying, like that moment. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, he like touches me, like, and then she's like, like this is another 13, 14-year-old girl, right? Like 12, 13-year-old girl. So she's like finding it really, really hard to comprehend, right? And she's like, we need to tell somebody, we need to tell somebody, you know, like we need to tell your mom, like, and I was freaking out because I was like, I'm like, you're the only person that I've told. But yeah, I ended up telling my mom, and at first she was like a little bit shocked. She was asking me all these questions. She's like, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? And I was like, yes, like why would I make it up? Like, you know, and then I remember that night we got a call from the grandparents. Oh no, I called the grandparents because my mom was like, you need
confront them.
Yeah. And so I called and the grandfather picked up and I was like, look, I told them, like the secret's out, like I told them. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Passes the phone over to my grandmother and she's like, you're a fucking hoe, you're just like dirty slut, all this stuff. To a 13-year-old girl, mind you, like whose parents are going through a divorce and like you're like a fully grown woman who's like abusing this, like why would I make that up? Anyway, and then from that moment on, I literally lost my entire family. None of them spoke to me.
What do you mean by that?
Like, so you know how I moved to...
So this is the family, your sister's family, right?
My sister's family, yeah. So I had moved to Australia when I was 4 and I grew up with this family.
Yeah.
And when my parents got divorced, they still wanted me around.
Okay.
And then when I had spoken up about it, all my cousins that I grew up with, all my aunties, my uncles, everything, even even my relationship with my siblings like was damaged irreparably at that point. And literally the whole family stopped talking to me. I literally have not seen or spoken to them since that day.
Wow.
And it's been, I don't even...
Is it because they don't believe you? Or they believe you but they can't like accept the fact? Or they...
Well, I don't know. I've never spoken to them, so I don't know.
Really?
And like even like that whole experience like made my sister like really shut off. And she like kind of, and even till this day, like she's very just like to herself and doesn't want to like open up to anybody about it. But yeah, like I don't know how they feel about it. Like I don't know if anyone believed me. Like wow. I don't know if any, like none of them reached out to me to be like, are you okay? Or
yeah.
But like, you know, the legal courts believe me because I got compensation for it at the end of it.
Oh, so the court believed you?
Yeah, because I don't think you understand how many times as a 13-year-old girl, I had to say the same story over and over again. They were like, they took my official statement and then I had to go back and repeat that statement to another person, to repeat it to another person. I had to get verified like multiple times, like from the beginning to the very end, 7 years of fucking child abuse, repeated over and over and over and over again, to the point that just so that the court would believe that it was happened to me, because they don't have any evidence. Like,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, like, so yeah, it was just like an extremely traumatizing time, and like for a 13-year-old girl, like how do you even process any of that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, obviously police were involved, court was involved. Yeah. What was that like on his end during that time?
He got cancer, like bowel cancer.
Like soon after that?
Yeah. And then like he had died before we could take him to court.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Interesting how life works.
Wow. 7 years.
7 years.
You didn't tell anyone until you were 13 to another 13-year-old friend.
Yep.
How was that time of your life? What were you like as a child from the ages of like 5 to 13? And like, how did you keep that within you? How did you feel? Like, that must have been so isolating.
Well, it's hard to say like how I felt about it, because like when I tell you, like I didn't recognize that anything was wrong. Like I didn't recognize, like I genuinely didn't, like, because it's not something that people like warn you about or like
obviously
tell
you were
about.
A kid as well. You wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
That,
exactly.
Yeah.
But like there were times where like my grandmother would walk into a room and he would be like, tickling or like,
Yeah.
but like the doors closed and she'd be like, it's so sus.
Did she know?
I feel like she knew. But like it was her husband of like how many years.
And you were
They
a
had
child
children.
and she's an adult and she should have protected you.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like I see where she's coming from, because it's so hard to believe that you thought you knew someone for so long and they turned out to be someone who is like the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
And like how do you come to terms with reality with that? You
Yeah.
spent literally 50 plus years of your life with this person.
Whew, yeah.
So I understand where she's coming from, but like, my God, did I hold so much resentment and hatred and anger and just like everything towards that family until I really had to like deep what happened to me, and then like realize that I was accountable for my own reactions.
Yeah, wow.
Even though I couldn't change what happened to me,
Yeah.
like I needed to heal that part of me, because everything that came after that was a reflection of like how damaged I was. And like I really did become a shell of a human,
Yeah.
like because of that.
So following obviously a very traumatic experience with a close family member, and then going through the whole thing of being completely shunned by the family, the only family that you knew
Exactly.
when you were 13,
Yeah.
never speaking to them ever again.
Yeah.
This now explains why the spiral of your
Yeah.
teenage life, right?
Yeah.
So what happened then? Like the rest of high school to like your early 20s?
Well, so the rest of high school obviously got expelled, and then like I got admitted to a mental institution for kids, and then I went to the Philippines. So when I came back,
Yeah.
I attempted to do year 12. But to be honest, that was like, I was probably the most depressed I had ever been in year 12 in my whole life, and I didn't even realize it. I just was like so used to feeling so empty and so used to feeling so dark that I could not recognize that I was literally like falling deeper and deeper into the hole. I was
Yeah.
just like, I barely existed. I was just there. I was
Wow.
just there. So I failed year 12. For you guys that didn't know, I failed year 12. I got a 25% attendance in almost
that
all of my classes. But you know, in year 12, I met one of my lifetime friends who absolutely changed my life.
Who?
Rooney.
I don't know Rooney.
Oh, you probably haven't met him.
Yeah.
So Rooney was literally like, he was one of the teachers in year 12. And I was really into athletics. So like, and he was like the sports coordinator or something at that time. And he like did all of the athletics, all of the cross country, swimming carnivals, everything. And I was really into athletics. And when, you know, we were making it to like district, regionals, all that stuff, we would do like after school trainings.
Yeah.
And like it was a group of us, and we would train at at an athletics track, and then we'd get food after, and then we'd do like a weekend training, and it was a beach training, and it was just like, and he just became literally the one person to be able to ground me in my time of like absolute chaos and mayhem.
Yeah.
Like, like I can't even, we'd be here all day if I talked about how many fucked up things that, you know, I went through to like get to that point.
Yeah. And I know you've had lots of experience in like using the influence of like alcohol and drugs.
Sorry, Mom.
Oh shit. We can cut that out.
No, it's fine.
Do you wanna talk about your experience, and like, of course we know why now, but like, what was that like, depending on that?
I wouldn't ever say like I was addicted in the sense that I've seen addicted
Yes, you did
people.
say that, yeah. But you were surrounded.
I was surrounded by it a lot, and I grew up with people who, you know, were into that and were kind of still into that. I'm not so close with them anymore, but I got introduced to drugs at 13. by my one friend who is no longer with us, unfortunately, because of it.
Wow.
She overdosed.
Wow.
And so, and she was actually my best friend, and we used to get into so much stuff together. Her name was Julia. Rest in peace, Julia. And I remember she was like, do you want to try weed one time? And I had to like sneak out of my house. And we met at the front of my house. Oh my God, this time we actually almost got kidnapped. Okay.
What?
So we had like, so she had brought like, I don't know if, do you remember UDLs?
Yes.
Yeah.
The raspberry one.
Yeah. So we had like UDL cans. We had drunk the UDLs, we had the UDL cans, and we like bent it in the middle. We got one of our earrings, we just stabbed like little holes in the bend.
Yeah.
And she had this little like weed nuggie.
Oh, a nuggie.
That we put there, and we just like smoked through the can. It was the most decent. Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. That's so disgusting. Like, who does that? But also at the same time, it makes for a funny story. So we smoked it, and we like thought the trees were coming alive. Like it's like 3 a.m. right?
Yeah.
And like there's like weird shadows from the street lights, and we thought someone was coming. So I lived on a main road, so we ran across the main road. We were sitting on the street, and there was this one car that like pulled up on like a couple of roads, like a couple of streets down.
Yeah.
And we saw it, and he was just sitting there, and we were like, okay, like someone probably like hopped, like probably parked and like went home. Anyway, so then they started coming slowly
Closer.
around. And so like me and my friend sprinted. Like when I say we were like directly adjacent from my house, like we just ran across the road and like went into my house.
Yeah.
The person came across the road. Mind you, they're in a service lane, so they had to go like around. But they saw which house we went in, and they parked at the front of the house. And I had seen it from my room, because my room's the first room in the house. So we're peeking out the window. The guy was there for 45 minutes, waiting for someone to like, because they just thought like, oh, they've hidden in this like front yard, someone's gonna come out soon. Anyway, so that was the day that we almost got like abducted.
Just 13-year-old Diana thing.
Yeah, literally. No, God. I've gotten up to a lot of stuff in my life. But yeah, so...
You know what I was doing at 13? I was probably making Taylor Swift covers on YouTube in my bedroom.
With your guitar.
With my guitar. And all my Filipino cousins would be like, Ate, you're so talented. Oh God. And next minute you're doing basically bongs on a UDL can.
Literally.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and then I think I just struggled with it. I struggled with, I guess, because it was to fill a void. And I had that void for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got fully out of it around like 2021.
Let's talk about that. The light. You saw the light somehow. Yeah. After all of this, I think, you know, this is one thing that I tell you pretty frequently is, you know, knowing your journey and knowing what's happened to you and what happened after that, like all the demons that you had to face after that experience. But then I see you and like experience life with you as who you are now. It's just so, I'm gonna start crying because you to me is such a ball of light. And when you walk into a room, I feel the presence of like people wanting to like talk to you and without even knowing what's happened to you, right? So there's just something in your presence, in your energy that really like lights people up about themselves as well. And knowing your story, what happened? What happened? How did you come out of that? What made you think, I've got to change? Yeah.
So I think like after, it took a really long time. Like even out of school, like I struggled so much with like valuing myself. And like I just constantly found myself in positions where I was like, what am I doing? Who are these people I'm hanging out with? Like if I continue down this path, like I am going to die.
Wow.
Like I'm going to die because like I'm gonna get like I might get caught up in a car chase. I might get caught up in like something that becomes really violent. Like, you know, you just like, I was just hanging out with those kinds of people that I just didn't know what I was going to get into. And so, but there was always this one, I don't know what it was, but there was always something calling to me to say, you know, like I never got into hard drugs, like a lot of my friends at the time. And they fell into really, really hard addiction, and they got into a certain lifestyle and all this other stuff. And there was always something that kind of like never let me tip over the edge.
Wow.
It didn't matter how much I was like, you know, getting into trouble or, you know, numbing myself with weed, etc. Like I was smoking cigarettes from like the time I was like 14. And you know, like it kind of, it only ever got so bad, but it never got to a tipping point where a lot of my other friends tipped over that.
Yeah.
So I think like there was always that one thing guiding me, but where it really changed was when I literally started writing like letters to like my grandfather and like to my mom, which I never gave them, by the way. I burnt them. But it was like, you know, like, I can't believe you did this to me, like da 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 da. Like
wow.
Everything that I ever wanted to say was pages and pages and pages. Everything I ever wanted to say, I like literally let go. And like from that moment, I started trying to like find value within myself. And like it was really, really hard. And like all of the encounters with like, you know, my romantic relationships or even with my friends or like anything that I tried to do, like working relationships, my seniors, everything kind of like reinforced that, you know, you have little to no value as a person.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Like I need to like get out of this, because everything that I'm doing right now is reinforcing this one thing that like, yes, I feel it, but like I don't fully believe it. Like, and so it was always like searching, like, what am I started reading. The first ever book that I read was The 4 Agreements, because I was like in such a negative headspace, and like, you know, starting to learn and then living in a place consistently, because I moved around a lot, living in like with Rooney. After like I finished high school, we were friends for years, and then I got kicked.
What?
So I was living in an apartment with this guy. I met him flatmates, and he was an ex-amphetamine addict.
How do you even find these people, bro?
So,
my God.
oh God. And so he had kicked me out.
Wait, the addict kicked you out, not the other way around.
The addict kicked me out because he was an ex-addict, apparently.
Oh, okay.
But he had like kicked me out because he apparently was disabled from his addiction, like it disabled him or whatever. And then like he was looking for a housemate who was technically going to be like his caretaker. And I was like, but I pay rent.
Sorry.
I was like, but I pay rent. Like, why am I taking care of, like,
I live here.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was kind of like, yeah, no, you're going to need to move out. And he's like, you've got till the end of the week. And I literally was freaking out. I didn't drive. I like didn't make any money.
What were you doing then?
I was in retail. I was working at Chemist Warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was making maybe like a few $100s a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he kicked me out, and I like called up my friend Rooney, who like was my rock. Like he literally helped me move that many times. And then it just happened that his brother was moving out that same week. And he's like, if you can just hold it out, like we can, like you can move in with me temporarily until you find something, or if you like it, like I need a housemate anyway. I'd rather it be someone I know.
Yeah.
And literally he was my mentor. He was my rock. He was the first person who ever introduced me to what a consistent like support
Just
person.
consistency.
Yeah,
Full stop.
consistency overall. Yeah, like never had someone show up for me the way that he did. He never judged me, even though I got into some stupid shit. Like he had to save me so many times. I don't even know where to start. Like I honestly, like he saved me when I had all my stuff stolen. He saved me when there was a
Wait,
man that
you got
was,
your stuff stolen?
bro, by a family that I was living with that had moved houses between the time that I had moved out and when I was coming back.
I remember this.
And they stole everything. My passport, my bed, my clothes, my shoes, my everything. The bed frame. Nothing was there. They had upped and moved from the time that I had left to the week after when I was like, can I get the rest of my stuff? They had upped and moved.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I can't even tell you, like I don't even know. There was so much more to that, by the way. He saved me. I remember one time I had called him and I was in Sunshine.
Okay, this is... Oh, sorry. Keep
Wait,
going. Sunshine, full stop.
Sunshine, yeah. And there was this drunk guy who was like getting all aggressive and I was like, da, 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 in his stomach. And he pulls up this thing and he's like, oh, it's like a freaking incision in his thing because he like had some sort of disease and he obviously like needed medicine. Anyway, this guy's going off, he's drunk. I call Rooney, I'm like,
You
dude, I'm gonna...
a disabled man.
He wasn't disabled, he was fully
He was
functioning.
sick, but he was sick.
Yeah, he was sick. Look, he was sick. Look, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I don't remember what you look like or your name, but I'm sorry. So he drove from Noble Park to Sunshine to save me and my friend who were locked in this room because this guy was going fucking ballistic outside. Anyway, so yeah, those are just like a couple of times that he saved. So anyway, yeah, he's been my rock and like he'll always be one of my closest friends and like he knows it. And yeah, I just love him and his family.
Yeah. So Rooney was your guardian angel.
Yeah, literally my lifeline. Literally my lifeline.
What happened after? How did you start developing like healthier habits and just getting yourself better after that?
So like exercising more, because Rooney obviously like I said, our friendship was built on sports. So like he kind of got me, now that I was like living with him, he kind of got me into his regular trainings. So I would like
That's so good.
Yeah, like I would go to the beach and do beach training with like him and his basketball boys because he was also a basketball coach.
Yeah.
And so he was just including me in a lot of things that like I guess I didn't necessarily expose myself to. And then like as I was trying these things, like I was figuring out what I liked, what I didn't like, what I want to do more of, what I don't want to do more of, rather than always just being around the same people doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck snorts coke in a shed doing nothing but smoking bongs and watching YouTube?
Those were your mates?
Those are my mates. Sorry, Mum.
Side eye. Wow. So did you stop? Was there a like? Did you just like cold turkey stop like taking drugs and smoking and all that?
So I think it was like the year that I had met Aaron, because I had met Aaron. Aaron's my partner, by the way. In December 2019, and 2019 was the year that I was literally like, I'm cutting off all the people that I'm talking to. Like, I'm not going anywhere with you guys. I'm like, I've stopped smoking cigarettes at this point, you know, like stopped smoking weed as much, and I wasn't doing any hard drugs anymore. Wasn't going out, I wasn't even going to like their parties or their like hangs or whatever. And yeah, I just, from that point, I had literally was just like, I had to change, because prior to that, I like started having like psychotic breaks.
I'm sorry? What do you mean by that?
Like, I don't know if people can relate, but like I was...
You know what, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people probably can relate.
So I was like smoking bongs a lot, right? And it got to a point where I was smoking so much that I started to get paranoid. And like I started skitzing it at people, just like randomly in front of me. Because I was like, you're fucking talking shit, say it to my face, I'm right here. And they're like, I'm not talking to you. No, they're like, we didn't even say anything.
Wow.
And literally like one time, and this was the breaking point, one time I literally, like I disappeared for 3 months.
Because I was doing?
Because I couldn't, like I was so anxious and so paranoid, and like I like literally did not feel like myself, that I literally shut myself off and like was just at home. Yeah, like I couldn't like show my face to anyone, because I was like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know if I can even trust myself. Like, I was just so on edge all the time, and so I had to like work on myself to be able to like present myself to the world again. And that when I represented myself to the world, I had like changed everything.
Would you say you were addicted?
No, I was never addicted to anything, but I think it was like because it wasn't like I was having withdrawals or anything,
Yeah.
but like when I was
just one bad trip that sent you to that like state.
well, not even like yes, in a sense, but also like I decided to stop feeling the void and like actually starting to sit with myself and figure out why is this happening to me? Like, I'm not happy with who I am. I'm not happy with my friends. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. Everything in my life is currently reinforcing that like I have little to no value at all, and like I need to fix it. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I tried to anyway.
Yeah. And you, tracing back to something that you said earlier, you said that you were always in a dark place, but you were never tipped to the other side of like complete addiction. Somehow there was a little flame. There's a little candle flame that you always kind of saw the other end, but you weren't sure how. Do you want to explain the connection between, I guess, like DK and just your businesses in general? So this is Diana, who I was talking about in my previous episode. We have VPS, Virtual Prosperity Solutions. Diana is also my business partner for that business. And so I want to explore, now that the audience understands your upbringing and, you know, a lot of the reasons why you want to do what you do now in your life. I want to explore like how your businesses
Connect.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing, the same lesson appeared in my life even after the whole like healing from like, you know, substance, I wouldn't call it substance abuse, but yeah, like substance abuse in a way, where it was like the universe kept constantly telling me like I was too much, that I needed to be quiet, that I need to adhere to what people had to say. And even when like this whole thing was going down with my grandfather, like I was constantly put in interrogation as to, you know, like,
prove yourself,
are you are you believable? Like, why should we believe you? Like, when I had no ulterior motive, like what benefit do I have from like saying this?
Yeah.
So like, and that showed up in multiple facets of my life, like managers, you know, work colleagues. Like it was always, you know, like you're too much of this, or you need to be more of this, and like, you know, like how you are is not enough.
Wow.
And like, I was so sick of it. Like even in my last job, it was the same thing. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. But I was so sick of the world victimizing women and telling women that they were the issue. Because we're not. We're really not. Like, at the end of the day, yes, there is always exceptions to the rule, but the fact that like, even in the situations where I had to stand up and speak out on what happened to me in terms of the child abuse, there are multiple women across the world every single day that speak up on their truth, and they're told to hush. I know so many people that have gone through this within their life. It's their families that are telling them to hush because it's a family member or a close family friend, or it's a whatever, it's a cousin or whatever. Like even in the Philippines, like I think it's more common than not to have experienced child abuse and like, or sexual abuse even.
Yeah.
And like,
any abuse.
Yeah, any
Domestic.
abuse. Domestic, emotional abuse, physical abuse.
Everything, bro.
I feel like family is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to live in a world that reinforced that message anymore. And so I created my own world and my own community with DK and VPS, where we just focus on, you know, like VPS is majority like women. DK is mostly women, and like what we value is women valuing themselves and feeling confident in themselves and empowered in themselves, and you know, all of like, yes, it's just jewelry, but like it's kind of, it acts as like a symbol to be like, you have the power to just speak up, you have the value within you to stand up for what you believe in and express your truth. And no matter what narrative the world wants you to spin it into, like always speak your own truth. And that is what DK stands for, is like to empower you to do that.
Wow. That is so powerful. The fact that you have turned all your traumas into a community, a business, and a community for people to feel safe enough to open their truth is truly just so inspiring.
And I've just met so many people on like a deeper level through my business as well, which I absolutely love. Like I would say that you and I got pretty close because of my business and like starting my business and collaborating on that front. And like just collaborating with other women who, you know, see their DK's values within themselves, and they just, you know, they're all about it as well. And I feel like the people that support DK are the people that have been alienated by like standard society, who, you know, they've been too much or something, or someone's been intimidated by them, so they have to like try and diminish their light in some way.
Yeah.
Whereas like we are all about women in
being loud about it and being proud about it.
Being loud and proud about it. Yes.
So then, future DK, how do you envision your business to be a platform for women to like come together and, you know?
Well, I would love to, you know, this year is more about getting the brand out there so that more people know, and we would love to collaborate more so with like, you know, women-owned businesses in any of their, if they're hosting seminars or like business events or giveaways or anything, like any chance that we can take part in that, I would absolutely jump on. And, you know, eventually in the future, like I would love to do like meetups with like the DK community, and like, you know, whether it be a vision boarding event, a networking event, a little, you know, bubbly and snacks and whatever, like having a talk, or even just like a professional like business event, seminar, educational event, down the line, obviously, and that'll take some time. But ideally, I would love to have more opportunities to bring our communities together. Not just for DK, but like for other businesses as well. Yeah.
And I think after sharing this podcast today, and because this is officially the first time you've spoken about your experience online, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, some people already know about it, but no one knows on Instagram or like on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think sharing your story is really gonna start something within your community, and for lots of other women who have felt that, you know, shame and guilt within themselves and years and years of isolation. I think it's really going to be something that starts those conversations. And I think that's how I see DK, right? Is, you know, the platform. Like obviously it's fashion and style and all the fun things, but beyond all that, the core of your brand is really just being the place for women to come to and feel empowered by each other, and making sure they feel supported and that they're not alone in whatever that they've been through.
Yeah, and also like for me, if I like walk around without my earrings, for example, I'm a little bit like more shy, a little bit, you know. As soon as I pop my earrings on, I'm more assertive.
Whenever I have my Sophia bag, I'm ready to.
Yeah, like you walk in like, I'm about my business.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that like, I want it to be that like addition to your personality to give you more
the extra
confidence.
Boost of confidence.
Yeah, to be yourself. Like, you know, don't dim your light for anybody. Don't make yourself small to make other people feel more comfortable around you.
Yeah.
Like you are who you are because you have something to say, and I think that's valuable to other people. And in this society where they're trying to hush you up, like speak louder, step on your platform, you know, be strong-minded about exactly what it is that you want to share with the world.
I love that. Well, to round up our conversation, I want you to tell me so much suspense. Think about just your life in general and everything that you've been through, everything that you've overcome, and the things that you've accomplished, especially in the last few years of like working full time and starting a business and growing a business. Tell me 3 things that you are proud about yourself in the grand scheme of Diana Keable's life.
I think, one, I'm really, really proud of myself for staying consistent. I've just had a problem with like consistency my whole life. Whether that be like...
Yeah, you moved around so much.
Moving around, schools, houses, jumping like from friends to like friend groups, different friend groups, because obviously I moved a lot. And then like, yeah, even like in relationships as well, like I was kind of like, oh, like whatever, like move on sort of thing. But now like, even through like mental hardship, like emotional hardship, I'll still show up. Doesn't matter like whether that be like in my business, with my friends, or like with my relationship. I'm just like, I show up consistently, and I think rather than, because like my previous defense mechanism was to like cut it off and run away.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
The second one would be like the amount of value that I actually have within myself now. Because like,
that's so beautiful.
Like we talked about how I didn't have any value up until like a few years ago, and like how it's just been such a struggle for me to find that value. And like, I think naturally everyone is always wondering what is their purpose and what is that. And sometimes like your purpose changes, and like and it's just a part of life to be able to like adapt to that. And so I think with that comes like, if you just have that grace within yourself, and like you just realize that you have value wherever you go, doesn't matter what you like try and pursue, like you can be valuable to others, even if they don't see that in you. So for me, it's like that unwavering like value within myself, which is why I feel so ready to do, like to publish this to the internet, because it doesn't matter what criticism I receive at this point, like it does not change anything for me.
Everyone's opinion about you is not your responsibility.
Exactly. And like in my own world, like everyone has an amazing opinion of me. So like,
I love that. Why wouldn't you like me?
Like,
why wouldn't you like me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you know what I mean?
Last one.
And then the last one is like approaching everything with love. And like love is like forgiveness, love is understanding, love is love. Like
even the way that you spoke about your experience with like your grandfather and even your mum, you spoke about it in a way that's like, even your grandma, so much understanding, like although obviously that horrible thing happened to you, but you also understand it from their perspective and why they did what they did, except for your grandpa.
I can't, that's something I can't.
Something, sorry, like I just...
That's something I can never understand, but also like I don't want to understand. And so, but yeah, like I think going through life with so much hatred and so much anger and so much, like I felt guilty about speaking up, because I was like, why did I have to make everything worse in the interim?
Wow.
Like
wow.
It was so bad. Like it was so bad, and I was just smoking things away, like, you know. And but then like as I grew as a person, I realized that like, yes, these people are older than me, but this is their first time doing life as them, and like they are just they're as entitled about their own emotions and their own reactions as I am with my emotions and my reactions. And if I understand it from the point where, you know, taking everything that they've gone through and their experiences, like for example, my mom, she was not emotionally available for me when I needed her, but that is because of her emotional upbringing, and I no longer blame her for that. Whereas previously, like I had so much resentment towards that. Yeah. But now, like moving on from that, like I find it so hard to like not try and see it from the other point of view straight away.
Yeah.
Like all of the stuff that you went through, and I was always like, remember when I was like it's like this because of this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, it's just a natural thing for me now,
Yeah.
where I'm like, everyone has a story, and like, I don't know you from like this other person. So like, who am I to sit here and judge you because you have such a strong opinion on this? That's fine.
Yeah.
And like, you can have that space to talk about it, but like, that doesn't, if I don't resonate with that, like that doesn't influence me, but like, I greet you with love, and like, I'll give you a space to like listen to you.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Well,
Yes.
thank you for trusting me enough to help you share your story.
Thank you.
You don't understand how much that actually means to me. And you know what? This whole experience, even of just like sitting down with you and you expressing through my business, allows me to serve my purpose as Blanc Studio. And yeah, I just want to thank you for like your vulnerability and for your openness to speak up so that other women and men can speak about their stories as well. I think it's really brave and courageous, and I'm just so excited to see what the world brings to you moving forward. I'm so excited for us and what we're going to do together. So we're going to close off this podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for joining myself and Diana today. You have to follow DK Accessories if you haven't already. If you didn't love her before, now it's like, now you have no excuse not to love
In my mind,
Diana.
In my mind.
So yeah, thank you. Do you want to share anything else, or want to plug any of your socials?
Yeah, follow DK Accessories. You also need to follow VPS, which I didn't dive into as much as I would love to.
Yeah, we can do a full separate episode.
Yeah,
on
we'll
VPS.
do an update for that later. If you're not following Jane on her YouTube, please subscribe. Also follow Blanc Studio on Instagram, House of Blanc also on Instagram, Jane Auxilio on Instagram. And if you don't, then
we're gonna have problems. But
love always.